When you play the Game of Thrones, you
Subscribe and like.
or you die. There is no middle ground.
Alright, hello YouTube, and welcome back to the Grease Comms YouTube channel. We're going to be kind of doing an old style video. I've kind of been getting away from doing these videos for a while. So we're going to be doing a Winds of Winter kind of predictions on Davos Seaworth. I think a lot of our favorite of Stannis' camp. But we're going to be kind of talking about where I think he's going to go as a character in Winds of Winter, maybe even A Dream of Spring. Not sure how far I'm going to get into it in this video. But we're going to be talking about the future of his character and him in Skagos at the moment. But yeah, so this is, for you guys that don't know, this is more of a old style video. I haven't been doing Winds of Winter predictions for characters much in the last couple months. I've been kind of wanting to slow down on those and let those kind of rest for a while and then kind of get back to them a little bit later on. Because of House of the Dragon and Rings of Power have kind of taken up my life for now. But before we get further into the topic, if you guys like to like, subscribe, and comment, please do for more of this type of content. And let's get into the video. So, Davos Seaworth is going to Skagos, right? He's trying to find Rickon. But Wyman Manderly has basically tasked him with the mission of bringing back Rickon Stark so there can be an heir to the Starks and all that stuff. And that the Manderlys now can follow Rickon and they will pledge themselves to Stannis. Right? That's kind of what's going on here. And the whole idea here is, what is Davos going to find in Skagos? And I think, if you look back on one of my earlier videos, I made a video about Rickon, and I definitely have changed my opinions. One of the major things I've changed my opinion on is that I think Rickon actually will be more of a major character in the books, instead of how he was in the show, where he just gets killed off. He's pretty much a no-name character almost. But I think Davos goes to Skagos and finds not what he was expecting. I think Rickon will be more of a wild child. He will be someone that is not really fit to rule. He has the Stark name, but he's not really acting like a Stark, or he's more of like almost like a human version of like a wolf type thing, where we've seen all of these characters for the Starks that have had wolf dreams and all these things, and I think Rickon could be one of the ones that goes a lot deeper into it, where maybe he's not eating. He's spending way more time in his dire wolf. Kind of getting how Robb was towards the end of his life, where you could tell he was getting thinner. He wasn't eating as much. He was kind of looking more wolfish with kind of his facial hair and things like that. I think that makes a lot of sense for Rickon. So I think Davos does get Rickon out of Skagos. But I think it's going to be a big twist and or turn for Davos, that this is going to be way different than what he kind of expected. Right? So I think Rickon and Davos, it's going to be interesting the timing of when they get back. Right? So how long is George going to make this little adventure? Is he going to make it, you know, last majority of the book? Is he going to have it maybe halfway through the book? Davos kind of resolved this plot. They're heading back to the north, or not the north. They're heading back to like Winterfell in the back half. And this is kind of where I see Davos's plot going, towards the back half or the end of Winds of Winter. So Davos comes back, and he realizes that Stannis has taken Winterfell, or maybe he hears, you know, the rumors that he's like dead or whatever, but eventually he does end up taking Winterfell. So Davos comes back, and I think what's going to end up happening, I've talked about this a lot with my Stannis videos, is I think Stannis is going to take Winterfell, but he's not going to hold it. I think he takes it, and then the others at this point will start their attack on Winterfell at the end of the book. So maybe this is the end of the book where Stannis gives his life defending Winterfell in the north so that the rest of the north has time to retreat. Or maybe that's the start of Dream of Spring. Not sure where George maybe goes with that, but I think that would be a really good spot to end that kind of arc. But I think with Davos, I think he maybe shows up just in time before the others start to maybe assault Winterfell. That he's able to have one last conversation with Stannis, and Stannis is kind of telling him, you know, go south and kind of help against this fight with the others, help serve, you know, Jon Snow, because at this point I think Jon Snow would be revived and would be the person maybe Stannis would put his faith in for humanity. And so I think that would be a much more of a natural way of how Davos kind of starts helping out Jon and serving Jon, because A, they've talked to each other before, so Davos knows who Jon is as a person, kind of. And also Stannis would be then, you know, telling him to this being his final wish, to help against the threat of the others and help Jon and help all these other characters. So it'd be interesting to see that dynamic between them, and even get maybe this conversation between Davos and Stannis about Shireen, because we know she's going to get burned. It's kind of a confirmed plot point. But I don't think it's going to be by Stannis. I think it's going to be more of a Mel does it on her own type thing. So I think Stannis and Davos are going to have a moment maybe where they can have some reflection on Shireen, on what happened with her. But as I said, I think Davos, kind of in the nick of time, he escapes with Rickon, and they kind of go south with meeting up with the Manderleys, with Jon, everybody else going south and kind of fleeing the north for now. Because I've always said, I think the big battle and where we will see more of our main conflict will be more of at the neck than it will be at the north. The north is too vast. It's too, like how Cersei and Joffrey can have this conversation in the show. The north is too vast to almost hold against the White Walkers or the others. It's their kind of playground, really, right? Where we've been constantly being told this is not the real north, right? The real north is beyond the wall. The others would thrive in this area. So I think if we get it down to like a bottle point neck area, right? So in the neck, and I think it makes sense to have more of our final war kind of be affecting the Riverlands, because that's how it's always been. But I think the neck would be a good spot for our final kind of confrontation and or big moment. And also it can make sense from a point of view of Jon figuring out who his parents are, because we know Howland Reed would be in this area. We know Lady Mormont would be in this area, and she has Robb's will. So this would make a lot of sense to me thematically. And I think it makes sense for Davos as a character to then meet up there. Davos from here is a bit interesting, because I think Davos survives to the end. I am a firm believer Davos is a survivor till the end, and I could see him being a master of ships. If you look at what his position is at this point, where he would be kind of the admiral of Stannis' fleet and all that stuff. And I think the other big idea here would be, if you guys remember, Stannis gets the support of the Iron Bank later on, right? So Davos could then use those funds to help build up a fleet, right? So I think that could be something that maybe he does. Maybe he becomes master of ships by the end of it. And that's kind of my Davos plot, really. I think Davos, to me, is a character that he's going to have a very minor role. I think when you look at all the other big characters doing stuff, Daenerys, Jon, if he comes back, which he will. It's like a 99% he comes back. With other characters like Aegon's plot. Davos's plot will be one of the more minor plots in the story, but it will be one that is very huge and influential, as it, you know, brings Rickon Stark, an actual natural Stark, to the north, which is kind of huge, and how he's going to act after the Stannis stuff, which is something I think a lot of book fans would love to see. One more conversation and interaction with Stannis and Davos. I feel like it just needs to happen. So I think for me, it makes a lot of sense for Davos to meet up with Stannis one more time at Winterfell before he goes south. But let me know what you guys think about Davos. Where do you guys think his character is going to go? How do you think he is going to develop as a character as the story goes on, and all of that? The big question is, how do you guys think he's going to react after Shireen's death? How will it change? Will he be more vengeful? Will he be more an angry, spiteful character? Possibly. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.